We welcome you back to the Student Section Podcast, a podcast for student athletes and by students. Not student athletes this week. We are on the other side of the spectrum. It's student broadcasters. Nick Chiarito, Mike Duda, Nate Babcock. I'm William Rosen. Student broadcasters here at Marist University in the 2025 year. I would say U3 myself. We had an episode last year with Tommy Armstrong and Derek DeGallo. They have graduated. Right now, we can say that we are taking the reins from them, and we have been doing it all. Nick Chiarito, Red Fox Report, and myself. Nate and Mike, Red Fox Report. Nate, Mike, everything. WMAR and ESPN telecasts. You've done it all, and we've kind of been working together for the last 2+ years with Nate and with Nick and with Mike, kind of collaborating and bringing together the broadcasting sector here at Marist. Nick, Nate, your seniors, how have you seen the program evolve in the last few years?
Well, I got to say from my first year was the first year of Red Fox Report, and knowing Derek and Tommy, Jimmy, who was one of the executive producers for Red Fox Report, they didn't have what we have now, like WMAR, being able to broadcast games on ESPN Plus or Red Fox Report since my freshman year. My freshman year on is when all those opportunities became available, and it's been very great for the school. And if you go back and look at our first Red Fox Report episodes to what we've been doing now, even with the pregame show, exponentially better.
Nate, take the audience through what the Red Fox Report is.
So think SC Top 10 and Marist version. We go over our bi-weekly highlights and now we have wins of the week. Just everything Marist, wins, losses, but now we have specific wins of the week that have been premiering at halftime of the ESPN Plus broadcast. And like Nick was saying, there are so many more opportunities than when me and Nick got here. I know you're behind us, but you've been seeing all of the changes year in and year out. It started probably with Derek and Jimmy Chantulis, who works with ESPN now, and Gene has kind of just taken the baton and ran with it. Mm-hmm. If we're talking about Gene Barbieri, if you're not familiar, he's everything sports comm, Red Fox Report, MCTV, and speaking on Red Fox Report, there are so many more opportunities than when we originally got in here. We're interviewing beat reporters. We interviewed Ben Leeds, who's the volleyball beat reporter and the editor-in-chief for Centerfield. Last year, we had an in-depth softball segment since we were the third-ranked team in the nation. We had a lot of coverage there, and we've just been branching out really nicely.
Mike, you come to Marist last year. You're seeing right now, you join Marist in kind of a middle point of where we are today. How have you seen in just 1 year, you step onto the campus, you call games in your first few months. What have you seen on this side of the sports realm here at Marist?
Even more growth. I mean, the two seniors were talking about it. I didn't even know that there was a possibility that you could step on here and really have nothing to do, because when I stepped on first week, I was at that first Centerfield meeting. Red Fox Report followed. Talked to Derek DeGallo in the first semester that I was here, calling games on WMAR. By April, thanks to Tommy Armstrong, I'm on ESPN Plus. I mean, the opportunities are just great. And then going into this year, we get the pregame show going now for Red Fox Network, for the Red Fox Report. That's turning into College Game Day in a couple days. Exponential. Unimaginable.
I want to give each of you some serious credit, but I want to give you, Mike. You reached out to me earlier this summer about the whole Red Fox pregame show idea, and it's come into ways that I don't really think that we could have seen on that initial document that you sent me. That's your baby, that's your idea, but it kind of blossomed into right now it's at its pre-teenager age, and we're looking to have it graduate college by the time we all graduate college. So Mike can, that's all props to you. But at the same time, something something you create, something I create, Nick, something you create, Nate, something you create, kind of comes into this collaborative space in this Lowell Thomas building, and it kind of is worked on by so many aspects and so many people, both professors and people higher up. But it's really the students have kind of taken the professor away from a lot of the on-hands work. We've seen it with Gene, who's going to be listening to this because he's, of course, going to be editing it, and he's not going to like what I'm about to say, but he has taken on such a role that we don't really know where we would be without him on the back end. I mean, the back end is such an important part. A lot of us three, us four, are front-end people. We do editing here and there. We do audio production, but the back end is so important, Nick.
Yeah, as well as being a talent for RFR, I do social media, and my title is co-executive producer along with Gene. And what he does is I can't even begin to explain his importance and attention to detail, because when we send out highlights to people to create and he gets it back, he's like, one frame. It's like one frame, you gotta change this. And I get the benefit of being with Gene when I make my highlights most of the time. So I get to edit my highlights along with him, which allows me to know what he's looking for when we produce it. But then on top of that, there's graphics. Also, like, communication is it's a little shaky at times because, people got things outside of Red Fox Report, and him and I are in Studio A cutting highlights the night before we're supposed to shoot, which makes our lives as talents a little bit harder than it should be. But like, he puts in so much work, and from I want to give props to Matt Spirio and Zach Musso, who were the initiators of creating the Red Fox Report, who brought the idea to Chris Rivietzo. And what Gene has done has made it exponentially better, and will allow, Duda, Lucas, Tommy Mansfield next year to just keep growing off of all the stuff that he's already done.
There are, for any confusion here, Gene Barbieri is not a 45-year-old professor, even though sometimes you may think so. He is your age, and he is the glue guy. He is so important, and I know you're going to watch this, whoever's watching that, Gene, really thank you for everything you do. We all mean it. Really thank you for everything 100%. You do. But at the same time, radio is so important too, and we kind of brought back the radio last year on those broadcast side. You all have called some games for the radio. What do you think is so special about being at Marist rather than other schools that, might have a different advantage, but you're not calling radio games right out the bat, Nate?
Yeah, right when you walk in, there is that opportunity. Obviously, you're going to need to build your reps to get on more prestigious games, but when I got here, I had full advantage to call whatever games I could get on. I think the first game I called was with you, softball.
I think so, yes. That was your first game.
Your freshman year, my sophomore year. And I had a blast doing it. I remember there was Maya McDonald RBI. I called it a McRib. It just gives you an opportunity to play around with what you think works and what doesn't, while still keeping a professional level of a radio broadcast. And it's been spectacular. I've loved every moment of it.
That was actually a TV game on the in-house Red Fox network. So Mike, that question is kind of tying into what I was going to ask you. TV and radio, you come in, we all wanted to do this coming into higher education, but were you kind of under the impression that you'd be doing volleyball games by yourself on ESPN Plus?
Not at all. I mean, the first game I personally called was the largest crowd in McCann history, Marist and Siena.
Yes.
The Battle of I-87 on ESPNU. We had the radio call. I mean, and that was next level. You're calling those games. You have that for the radio. Then, like you just said, calling volleyball games. I mean, I didn't think I would ever pick up a volleyball game. I thought it'd be basketball, maybe baseball and football. But no, I mean, all of these sports you're calling. I got my first men's soccer game coming up in a couple days. Excited for that. It's any sport that this school offers. You basically, if you work hard enough, you have the chance to call it, which is phenomenal.
And just say
so
yes.
Cool.
It's fun. Because the difference is, in a good way, the people that are tuning into these games want to see everyone succeed, the athletes, the coaches, and at its core, the production and broadcast side. If you're tuning into these games when Marist is at the median level in the rankings, yes, you always want 100% accuracy, and we strive to do so, but it's also a great learning experience. And I know you had a football game on radio. Football's crazy hard to prep for.
So I'm going to just be completely honest.
Please be completely honest.
Play-by-play or play-by-play broadcasting was never what I wanted to do. I wanted to be more in studio.
Mm-hmm.
And I called this game with Duda in particular. That was my first football game, second or I guess third game, because the first games that I called was Marist softball versus MAAC doubleheader last spring. But the prep for football, there's 100 players on each roster, and you got to look at everyone's stats. You got to find interesting nuggets about each player's just in case if there's a blowout. And then you got to know, is a career milestone coming up? Is a career high coming up? And you're kind of preparing for every possible scenario. And then when you get on the call, you don't even use 90% of it. I don't think Nate had the opportunity to take John Brickley's play-by-play class, which, there was a whole conundrum with that class. But when I took the class, and he taught us so much about how to prep. And there's so much that goes into it. Usually when you get to call a game, you get to speak to players. You get to go to the media day press conferences beforehand, which unfortunately we don't get to do. Sometimes, depending on who the SID is, we can talk to the coach or whatever. But, being able to get on a personal level with these players, find interesting stories, can go such a long way. And I really wish we need to get another play-by-play class back here, because I know there's a lot of people interested that are still very raw but don't know what to look for when doing that prep and when is the right time to deliver that on a broadcast.
And I think that's a really good point. We're all amateurs. I mean, it's not like anybody here is at this table or not at this table who has been here before is TNT or NBC level, and we're all trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work on the broadcast side, on the in-studio hosting side, and through a mid-major school, through a school that is smaller than 6,000 people, you can work through error. You could work through what works, and I think that's what's so special on this podcast. You see it for front end, what works and what doesn't work. We completely transformed this entire show from 2 years ago to last year to this year, and it's all part of the journey. We saw what we had. We had a nighttime talk show, and then we turned it into a video podcast in studio, and now we're a audio-focused podcast with video. And I think that there's a great aspect of learning here that you can't get anywhere else. And I'm not being like a sell job that you may think I am. That's what I tell anybody about why I came here. And you all, including myself, we're all in so many different things. But as we say that, what's a non-sports highlight of your Marist career so far, Nate?
That's a good question. Well, I think part of the reason I came to Marist was for this, obviously. But another big one was abroad. I did have the opportunity to go abroad in the fall of last year. And I went to Florence, and absolutely the time of my life.
That is incredibly interesting, because I'm glad you brought that up. That is not the most common route you see for a lot of kids and students in the sports comm realm. What was your deciding factor to end up pulling the plug and going to Florence?
I'm going to be in this the rest of my life. If travel comes along with it, it comes along with that. But I think I bit the bullet, and I just had to go. It was something that I have always wanted to do. I've always loved traveling, and I had never been out of the country up to that point. Had to get my passport, visa, all that for it. And I got it done, bit the bullet, and took the chance. And I don't regret doing it.
Now you got me jealous. I mean, Mike, we're on the same page in this, and Nick a little bit. feel like there's kind of a pressure that you don't want to go if you're doing sports comm. Of course, I want to go in my core and my heart. It'd be incredibly fun. You had a blast. I know people do go, but it's a pendulum. And where do you sit on that pendulum?
I'm in the sense that I have to be in Poughkeepsie to do what I want
exactly
to move forward.
how I
I have
feel.
to spend all 8
That's how I
semesters
feel.
here. What am I going to do in Italy or Spain? Yeah, maybe I can call a basketball game if I'm lucky, but I can call 6 of them if I'm here in the matter of a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So if anything, it's go travel abroad in the summer. It's one of the perils of what we do,
Yeah.
but one of the very few perils. I mean, that might be the only one.
I would say that is the only one. That is the only thing
Surely.
that has been on my mind in the last 6 months on the not even negative, but on the like neutral minus side that I'm not going to be able to. But I think part of that is you can take one of these attachment courses, and I think that is something that I'm going to be putting my talents to towards the end of my academic career. You're not going abroad, nor have you.
No, I haven't gone abroad, and it's definitely something that crossed my mind. But I felt like my opportunity passed after my fall semester sophomore year because that was the last semester I wasn't on air for Red Fox Report. And because Dan Allback and Tommy Armstrong went abroad in the spring semester, gave me my opportunity to get on Red Fox Report. So, the abroad program in a way definitely helped my on-air career in one way. But after getting the opportunity to be on air, and in that fall semester, I also took John Brickley's studio hosting class, which gave me the reps to keep doing highlight reads over and over again. Wanting to have the reps on air inherently became more valuable to me than spending 6 months abroad, which I know everybody loved that has gone has loved the opportunity
100%.
of living in Europe for 6 months, and I know that the experience is so good for some people that they actually want to move there full time.
And I think it's so special because that is something that the university prides itself on. And you had a blast. What was the best thing you ate?
Best thing I ate. Ooh. So, there's a siesta in Florence, and so most restaurants or authentic restaurants will be closed. And me and my housemate, we forgot about this, and we were going out to get dinner a little bit early, and we happened to come across this authentic, not authentic restaurant. It was just a hole-in-the-wall spot, and it was a burger. It had eggs on it, it had bacon on it, and this amazing hot sauce mayo. It seems pretty standard and not really something you're looking for from Florence, but actually scratch that. Scratch that.
I was going to say, a burger in Italy? Come
Live
on.
game?
I had the opportunity to go to Croatia. It was shrimp pizza. That's my answer.
Shrimp pizza.
Wow.
That sounds right up my alley.
Wow.
That sounds really good.
Will, where would you go on this extension? You love Asian food.
I do love Asian
So would
food.
you go somewhere in Asia?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it would be everyone Florence, Marist Florence, Firenze. Everyone loves Firenze, right? We love Firenze. I would debate between Florence and then the Tokyo Temple program that we have a partnership with. Boy. No. Tokyo would be on the top of that list. Seoul, South Korea, the Singapore program. I don't know. I would in another life I would, but I really do think that there will be time for me to travel. Take a few months off. I want to explore the world and at the same time focus on what we do here. So I think that was kind of my forefront with you, Mike, and you, Nick. It was a little different situation.
I mean, in my opinion, I've always thought that if I get to where I want to be in this industry, I'll eventually have the opportunity to go to all the places that I want to go. And not only that, hopefully on the company's dime, because I'm covering some basketball team. I'm covering the Trailblazers. If they're in the finals one day, I get to go to Portland.
You're covering games, and we're covering games, and we need to get to some of the meat of this because the basketball seasons are coming underway. We're actually very lucky. You said travel for games. We're going to the Xavier game.
Very lucky.
Which opens Richard Pitino's era at Xavier in Cincinnati, and it opens the Marist Red Fox men's season. Marist men's basketball opens there. Marist women's basketball opening in just a few weeks. Football on their chase to try and get into the top of the PFL. The season for football has kind of just shifted. I know that the record doesn't tell the whole story, but with one win, quite impressive.
Very impressive turnaround for Mike Willis's squad. I mean, you have 3 wins. That's triple the amount that you had last
100%.
year. So you have some favorable schedule games coming up as well on the horizon. Definitely a great year on the football side.
On the football side, Nick, there's kind of a change in pace. They're just playing through their quarterback, Sonny Menino.
I mean, gunslinger.
Uh-huh.
Marist has, I saw the stat in Riv's class, what was it, Monday? Marist throws the ball more than anyone in the PFL, and the downside is that they are the least accurate. So it's counterintuitive, but he's been using his legs. Sometimes that gets him in injury trouble and whatnot because he did miss the game against UPenn. But he's been playing a lot better. And I think Marist in particular, they've been feeding off the home crowd this year very well, especially on the defensive end. I mean, Nate Robinson Jr., he's a stud. It's
one of the best defensive players in the entire country on the FCS.
100%.
When they played San Diego, and he was getting pass breakup after pass breakup, I kept thinking to myself, why are they throwing the ball to the guy that he's guarding? Like, you got to throw it to someone else. And he kept making big play, and then the defense with the 3rd and 1 big sack, and then another sack on 4th down.
Sack on second as well. It was 3 consecutive sacks.
I thought it was 3rd and 1. And
See, this is what you
sack,
get.
sack,
You get debate on
3
stats.
consecutive
And by the way,
sacks.
this is the most casual any of us would ever be.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't like. I mean, Mike and I are.
Mike hasn't lost a debate on MCTV yet.
4-0 so far.
Mike and I mean, we're always in suits. We're all in suits when we're
Always.
talking. And this is a little casual day. I had to plug the So Be It merchandise because men's basketball season is just underway. What are you looking for from the kind of a new look team? They lost some talent, but they also gained some talent. What do you think from the men's side?
Yeah, we lose Pasquarelli to Colorado State. Side note, cannot wait to watch him.
Oh, boy,
He's
Josh.
going to be playing Hawaii at 11 o'clock at night.
I'm going to be
late-night
watching
hoops.
so many of those Josh games.
Yes, of
Josh
course.
Pasquarelli, the claim to fame.
Yeah, cannot wait to watch him there. But we bring in a transfer from Iona, Justin Menard. I feel like he's going to be a huge piece of this team. Think of like
What's your comparison?
who's a
NBA,
good comparison?
NBA.
Ty Jerome.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say a Ty Jerome type of player. He's going to be great. He's going to shoot the heck out of the ball. Also, Elijah Lewis. He's going to fill in a lot of that Pasquarelli role. And obviously, JCR. You always know what you're going to get with him. It's going to be broken up. I think Tariq Watson also has a big season.
I think that's a key player to focus on. Tariq Watson, filling in for those Jackson Price minutes, and Jason Schofield. I'm not sure if he'll be able to start the season, so it's going to be a lot of featured player on Tariq Watson filling into that, and Parby Kabamba a bigger role once more. What are you looking for, Mike, on
Him
the
as
season?
well. I like the size that the Red Foxes brought in. Jordan Gabriel, someone that stands out to me from Long Island. He's going to be one of the bigger players on this team. He's the second biggest behind Schofield. He'll see a lot of time at the 5. I could see him really working a role on that men's team and being the big that they need because they don't have size.
They don't have size, and you know who else doesn't have as much size as the women's basketball team? Morgan Lee departing to Clemson, also going to be incredibly excited to watch those games in the ACC. They lost some size. They bring in Carly Fisher. They bring in some new talent, but I think they're going to have to focus on the Danny Williamson buckets this year once more.
In my opinion, for both men's and women's, the big thing that I'm looking at is three-point shooting.
Yes.
Both did not shoot the ball that well from 3 outside of 1 or 2 players. And looking at the women's side, Morgan Lee led them in points, rebounds, and blocks, so she's defending the paint. Now they're a little bit smaller. Carly Fisher transferred from Fairfield. I know Duda has very high hopes for her. What was the quote that Dowdy gave you about if she's an all-MAC player?
I was able to talk to head coach Erin Dowdy, and she was telling me about Carly in specific. If she is an all-MAC player, we are in great shape. We want her to be an all-MAC player.
I think if you have Fisher as an all-MAC player, you have
Terrell and
Danny.
So I think,
Terrell's back.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is going to be predicated on making sure Danny and Terrell get good looks from 3, spread it out, let Carly Fisher work down low, let her work her magic. Very excited to see her play. She didn't get a chance to play last year with Fairfield. And, of course, Fairfield is the powerhouse in the MAAC, so it's kind of hard expecting the women to win the MAAC. But, we want to see someone put up a fight.
They have a great chance. And Nate's takes, I want your take on this. Who will have more three-point field goals made at the end of the season? Danny
question.
Williamson or Elijah Lewis?
I'm going with Danny Williamson. So many of her shots come from 3. I feel like Elijah Lewis kind of works it in between the lines. He's a great mid-range shooter. Not that Danny Williamson isn't.
Danny Williamson or Justin Menard?
That's a good question, Will.
Another good one.
I'm going with Danny Williamson too. I think that usage rate is just going to be so high. She's going to be a big part of this Marist offense. Menard definitely is going to have to work his way into the lineup, but I think come the end of the season, he's going to be a feature piece.
Before we wrap up, rapid fire takes, the student section podcast. I'm going to ask you really quickly a few questions on the upcoming season and broadcast live. Is that right? More technical fouls, Dowdy or Dunn?
Done.
Right? Marist football, above or below 500?
At.
Wow.
Sorry, guys, below.
I'm gonna go the opposite way. 1 game above.
Above. Last one. Radio or TV?
Give me TV.
Radio.
TV.
TV. And that's how we end it. On TV, on a video podcast. An absolute beauty. Football, basketball. Our pregame show, if this is out in time, and you could watch it on replay if it's not, we're doing a live pregame show in the parking lot of McCann Arena before a football game on Friday. Tell us a little bit about that, Mike.
That's going to be super fun. Basically, college game day. We're going to be live at the set. It's going to be the 3 of us at the desk. Nate's going to be our field reporter, interviewing fans. Going to be a great time with the tailgaters in the background. Should be a lot of fun ahead of Marist's homecoming game against Drake.
Marist basketball starting soon. Nick Chiarito, Mike Duda, Nate Babcock. The broadcasters are back for another episode. Stay tuned for the more on Student Section Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Football Fanatics. I am your host, John. Welcome here with Matt, Chris, and Luke. Let's kick things off right off the bat. Matt, let's say Roger Goodell is kicked out of the office. You're the new commissioner. What is the first rule you're implementing or maybe taking out, changing?
All right, so I don't know if you remember, back a couple years ago in the UFL, there were no kicking extra points. Teams chose to play an offensive play from either the 2, 5, or 3 yard line, and if you scored each of those, from each of those yard lines, you either got 1, 2, or 3 points. So I think instead of PATs, which are made at about 95% of the time, if there's a PAT happening in an NFL game, I go get a drink, I walk away from the screen, So I think introducing a 1, 2, or 3 point conversion instead of PATs would make, the extra point a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. As you said, people usually get up because PAT and it goes straight to commercial. People don't care to watch the PAT. It's pretty much a given.
Yeah.
So if we change that and make it an actual play, it could add another dynamic to the game, more points scored, which would be something. I think it could work.
PATs have sort of become kind of a wasted play. But I will say I don't really know if the NFL fan base would agree with this. I think they are a lot more hesitant to change than we might think.
I don't know. I feel like going with that rule, you add a much more potential for excitement in a football game. You open the doors for more comebacks for teams who are trailing by 2 or 3 possessions to come back in 2 drives and be right there neck and neck with any team.
Yeah, no, I agree.
sure.
You'd reduce blowouts. I think you'd have coordinators try to introduce 1, 2, and 3 point packages, right? They'd have different players in on, from the 2 yard line as opposed to different players in from the 10 yard line. Maybe they'd try different formations. The defenses would have to adopt different schemes too. It would kind of be a nice little chess match on a play that doesn't feel meaningful at all in the game right now. And I also believe, like you said, like it just will make, I guess, late game possessions feel more meaningful, right? If you're down 9 with 2 minutes left, the game doesn't feel completely out of reach. It's one touchdown and a play from the 10 away.
And it also keeps fans at the game, which obviously drives sales for whatever stadium it's being played in, and it keeps eyes on the TV, so the viewership stays up. So, I mean, all in all, everything kind of, I think, boils down to money. I think that there would be, honestly, you can call it an investment because I think they
more
would
offense,
make more money.
Excitement, yeah, for
That's
sure.
a very good play.
And I was going to say, we've seen, like the NBA, they adopted the three-point line from a different league. I think we could see the NFL adopt this, I guess, sequence of plays from the UFL.
Absolutely. I don't think it'd be a bad thing. For me, I think that the offensive holding call should be a 5-yard penalty rather than a 10-yard penalty. Guys, thoughts?
I don't disagree with this. I like that change, but I'll play devil's advocate for a second. The issue that would arise, what people would dissent with this about, a lot of times holding penalties are the result of, a stopped sack. Typically it replaces what would have been a sack, and by decreasing that to only 5 yards, you're really hurting the defenses.
Yeah, I think it's very circumstantial because at times a holding penalty seems like nothing. Other times it seems like it stops a 40-yard gain. So maybe something like a graded foul where if the NFL could adopt, if you clearly hold, you're about to get a sack on the quarterback, that could be a bigger penalty. But if it's just a minor hold that didn't really impact the play and you still call the foul, that could be something a little less.
Yeah, I mean, I think to kind of go back and tweak my rule, if there is that circumstance where the quarterback is sacked and there still is holding on the play, then you tack that extra 5 yards from where the quarterback was sacked. Not necessarily just going back from the line of scrimmage, but let's say the quarterback is sacked 4 yards behind, but there is a holding that's there. Now they're in second and whatever it is, in 9.
Yeah, I get that. That could work. I think this would work better for defensive pass interference, maybe. I think that's another foul that doesn't really work super well in today's NFL. It's always ticky-tack. You see a lot of cases of receivers just kind of throwing it up, throwing an underthrown ball, and receivers fighting back for it. And it feels like a lot of the times we see bad offense being rewarded. I think that should be maybe just a 15-yard penalty like you see in college football.
Yeah, I mean, if you look for it, like truly look for it, there's holding on every single play. Every single play, there's someone holding someone's jersey, preventing them from moving a certain way. It's just a matter of if it's oblivious or not to the refs. And sometimes it is oblivious and the refs just don't see it. There's holding on every single play. And that's coming from me, who played football, and
That's true.
I could say that I held a lot of times that it wasn't called.
Yeah, the only thing with the pass interference thing is that a lot of times pass interference does prevent a touchdown. So again, if it is a 15-yard penalty, I don't think let's say there's a 50-yard pass downfield that would pretty obviously be a touchdown. If you're a DB, you're just tackling the wide receiver. If it's a 15-yard penalty, I think, like you said, there needs to be graded penalties, but I think there would be a problem with that. What is a severe pass interference versus what isn't? I think it would just cause problems. So I think, honestly, you just have to keep it the way it is.
Yeah, and with that kind of is more NBA-like. You see that with the NBA, graded fouls.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times in the NBA, it just becomes too hard to officiate.
Yeah. Yep. It's a complete
Sure.
judgment call.
It could be a lot for NFL refs to determine. Sometimes you don't know which one it quite is. So there could be some problems with that. But I think it is a good idea.
And also, I feel like holds just take the life out of an offense. It could be a 2nd and 1 where the drive looks promising, and then there's a hold, and you're backed up. And
It could be
I mean, they're as
50-yard
bad as
gain,
a sack.
yeah, absolutely.
A 50-yard gain gets called back and you lose 10 yards. Maybe, if it's a 50-yard gain, maybe you tack on 10 yards from where the play ended.
Yeah.
Really,
Something
the
like that.
problem is what you're saying, where it's just kind of ticky-tack what gets called and what doesn't. And maybe we need to address that better. Maybe the refs need to come together and rewrite the rule and say what is holding, what isn't, so that the ticky-tack stuff doesn't get called.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think that's something that I think the NFL should look into. I just think that would be a balance of play for both offense and defense.
Right.
Let's compare overtimes from NFL to college football. Do you think that the NFL should look into kind of pursuing more of a college football approach to overtime?
I definitely think so. I don't know if everybody's familiar with the college football overtime, but each team gets a possession from the 25-yard line, and if it's still tied after the first overtime, teams again get a possession from the 25-yard line, but they have to go for 2, and so on and so forth. The NFL is really the only American sport, I guess, besides soccer, where teams can just tie. And I know we watched the Packers-Cowboys game earlier in the season. It was one of the best games of the year until it tied.
Until it was a disappointing
ending. Just last night, the NBA season started. The Rockets and the Thunder went in a double overtime. It was a thriller. If we could get games like that, I know in college football there was a game a couple years ago that went into 7 overtimes. Yep. I think there's been a couple. I believe in 9
LSU, A&M.
Yeah, right. That would be the most electric NFL game of all time. I think it really needs to get used. I think it would be awesome.
You can understand why they might take it away. The 7 overtimes, I don't think they want that for the players and the fan bases. But I do agree that it does need to change. They did adopt that both teams should get the ball, which I think was good. That's a college rule that came into the NFL, so that both teams have a chance to score no matter what. But I do think 10 minutes is not long enough for the outcome of the game, especially if it's a tie. And it just seems kind of boring, kind of bland, and it turns, as we said, a great game into a kind of boring one.
This is one I really agree with. And as far as the players don't want to play all this extra football, at the end of college football overtime, it becomes a 2-point contest. You're going for 2 points every time, and it's not as taxing, I don't think, physically when it's just a 2-point conversion each time.
One play, and defense comes on, and you're switching back and forth between the offense. I completely agree. And even if they don't do it that way, and I don't know, I just feel like by the time you get to overtime with any sport, not even just football, the players are so just, all right, now we got to go win this game. It's So I mean, it does make sense, but I mean, I don't know. I think that the NFL should just look into this.
I agree. I know Luke mentioned that some of the players wouldn't want all that extra football, but if you adopted the overtime rules with the UFL 1, 2, or 3 point after rules, then you could finish those games a lot quicker too.
Let's
like a
combine
2
our
and
rule
1.
changes.
Yeah,
Yes.
2 and 1. You could have a team score on their first position in overtime, then hit a 3-point play, and it that could end the game in one round. So you could it wouldn't need to necessarily be a ton of extra football. If you're the second team going, or if you're the first team going and you only score 1 point after, then you could easily lose as well. So I think there are many ways you could go about it, especially if we had the 1, 2, or 3 point after change.
I like that. And I also think players don't really want to see it end in a tie. Players they're competitive.
Right.
You saw the Cowboys-Packers players. They weren't happy after the game. It feels like a loss to both teams.
Right.
And I think it almost feels like a letdown to the viewers. You know what I mean?
Me,
You're watching such a thriller of a game
Yeah.
and the thrill of an overtime just for it to end on a tie. And you could see, like you said, the Packers and the Dallas players were just emotionless. They didn't know. They
So
didn't know
many
how
points,
to feel.
so much hype for what?
Exactly. I think just overtime adds a way more interesting aspect to any game.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure.
Hopefully, Roger Goodell's listening.
Hopefully.
Well, that's all the time that we have on Football Fanatics. Again, I'm your host, John. Thank you, Matt, Chris, and Luke, for joining me today.
Welcome to the Football Fanatics. I'm Jonathan Chernin, joined by Jack, Robert, and Ryan. Today we're discussing the Giants collapse against the Broncos. If you're a New York Giants fan, it was definitely a rough watch. Your eyes were bleeding. Jack, what are your thoughts on what went down?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the Giants lost this game for 2 reasons. I think because they didn't have an NFL caliber kicker in Jude McIntyre, and they also have one of the worst pass defenses in the league, giving up 33 points in the fourth quarter.
And I mean, going into that game, they had the 2 quarters against the Eagles where they didn't give up anything, and then the first 3 this past week where they didn't give up anything. It really came down to that fourth quarter when they gave up 33.
Yeah, just a couple stats on that comeback by the Broncos. So the Broncos and Falcons are the only 2 teams in NFL history to score at least 30 points after scoring 0 in the first 3 quarters. And also, NFL teams had lost 1,602 consecutive games when trailing by 18 points before Sunday's eventual win for the Broncos. So, I mean, it was a heartbreaking fashion, heartbreaking loss. I was feeling sick after the game for a few hours. It was awful.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Jets. It was brutal.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely not a fun for a fan. It was a nightmare to watch in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, I sit here, though, as an Eagles fan, and will have to concede that I think there was a lot of positives in this game for the Giants. You go to Denver, a tough place to play already, against a good team. You go up 19-0. You put up 19 points at 3/4 is solid. I don't think you can complain about that at all, especially keeping a shutout on the other end. Jackson Dart with a very solid performance, nearly 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, it's a great game.
And a rushing touchdown.
And a rushing
Yeah.
touchdown.
He had a 96.2 passer rating.
Exactly.
That's phenomenal.
He played well. However, obviously, though, you can't blow that lead.
Yeah.
No.
I think that interception, it's a rookie mistake. I mean, we'll see how he plays out in the future. I mean, these first couple of games that he's been playing, it's the greatest Giants quarterback that I've lived through in my lifetime. I could say already, besides maybe Eli Manning's 1 or 2 years, but this is, I mean, I'm too excited.
He's definitely the most talented quarterback that the Giants have had in years, and watching Jackson Dart's actually been a treat. I mean, you're seeing a guy that kind of reminds you a little bit of a quarterback like Mahomes with his abilities, his skill set, and you really got to feel good about the future, but it's hard after a game like this to keep the perspective because, I mean, after the last week against the Eagles, a lot of Giant fans were riding high, saw them as competitors in the division, and then now they're down at rock bottom. How do you balance that as a Giant fan?
I mean, this season, after Malik Neighbors went down, it's kind of tough to really think that we're going to make a playoff push. I mean, I was fully out on the team after they lost that Saints game. I thought we were just done. I thought we would win maybe a couple more games, but next year's the year. And I mean, this year it's kind of looking like we got a chance. We beat the Eagles. We come back. It's a really tough loss this game, but I'm excited for the rest of the season.
I agree.
Situationally, it's a really tough loss. You drop down to 2-5 now, bottom of the NFC East. A win there takes you to 3-4, tied with Washington. Going against a team you've already beaten this season, not going to beat them again, but going against a team that you've maybe already beaten, gotten a report on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they could. I mean, if they won this game and they're 3-4, yeah, I mean, they are still a threat in the division because everyone would be kind of bunched up there.
Exactly.
I want to kind of break down a little bit more. One of the drives that kind of killed me as a fan watching. So it was with a little over 5 minutes left. I don't know how much of the game you guys watched, but the Giants, they run the ball twice, right? They drain 2 of Denver's timeouts, and then the third down is when they decide to obviously pass it, and then it gets picked off by the linebacker. I forgot his name, but so on that third down, if you run it on that third down, then you drain the third timeout. And in my opinion, how can you not run it there?
I'm not mad at the call. I mean, 5 minutes left. Let's just be cautious with the ball. I mean, that's probably what he told him in the headset. But
I get it. He's trying to go for they want to get the first down because the defense has been reeling. But if you let's say you do run it, you kill the third timeout and you're punting it instead of throwing. You're punting it back. No timeouts, up 10. Just the chances of you winning the game are so much higher versus putting it in a rookie quarterback's hands in a crucial part of the game.
I mean, he's done everything right so far, so I say why not give him a chance to try and maybe close out this game? Don't just end this drive. But, I mean, there has to be a real talk between him and Dable. No turnovers. If anything is covered, do not throw it. Just take the sack. I don't mind the call. 5 minutes left. That's a lot of time.
It's a unique
Defense
situation.
reeling now.
That's a play calling issue.
The defense was giving up touchdowns every single
It's a
drive.
play calling issue.
You
You're
have
up
to
10.
play clock management.
You're up 10 points late in the fourth quarter. If you can give them the ball without the ability to stop the clock, you've won the game.
Yep.
You don't need to go score more.
Listen, I mean,
if you can get a field goal, that's a good thing. Obviously, it puts you up 2 touchdowns. You don't need to score there.
Aside from the fumble with the Saints, I don't think he's turned the ball. Has he? Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he's turned the ball over until that interception.
No,
Yeah.
I believe he had an interception against the Saints. If I'm not.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think he did. He
Yeah,
did.
he
He
did have
did.
an interception.
He had
against
it
the
in
Saints.
1 or 2.
Yeah,
Or
he had 2
he's
interceptions.
Three picks
yeah.
this season. He had the
Yeah,
2 in the
2
one
interceptions
game.
in the Saints.
7
So yeah,
touchdowns,
maybe
though.
I mean I don't know. I think 5 minutes, that's a lot of time. I play a lot of Madden, so I'm kind of good with clock management, and I think there's almost no difference them having 1 timeout with 5 minutes left and we're punting the ball rather than them having 0 timeouts. I mean, I get it.
I think it's very easy to say that you would have done something
Hindsight's
differently
20/20.
because as a Monday morning quarterback and the game has already been played.
Yeah.
But to be honest, given the situation that Dable was in, he would probably do the same thing again.
I agree.
And let his rookie quarterback that he trusts gain confidence and pass it.
Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit, but not really. The kicker lost this game. I don't want to brag. I've played high school
I would
soccer.
argue
I
the
could
defense
make a
lost it over
35-yard
the
field
kicker.
goal. You can't be missing 2 extra points there.
I agree.
Also, the defense has to stop the 2-point conversions that they're giving up. But at the same time, you can't put your kicker out there wondering if they're going to make an extra point.
Yeah.
Well,
You think of touchdowns in measures of 7 for a very easy reason.
I also want to just point out, I think their bad clock management was they got the ball at the 1 yard line with 40 seconds. They had
that's
one
another
timeout.
whole piece.
I
to
think
this. I agree.
Why not just kneel? Maybe they have one timeout. So if you kneel, then it's second down. Snap the ball with maybe 20 seconds left.
That's a great point.
Maybe throw the ball. If you get the only bad thing that can happen is if you get sacked and then you have to use your timeout. But if you throw on second down and you say you don't complete it, then you have your one timeout for third down. You could run on third down, and then fourth down it's do or die.
I agree with the way the defense have been playing. I think you got it. You can't allow Denver to get that ball back with over 30 seconds.
As a
with
fan,
the way that was going, I agree because that was something I hadn't even really thought of. And then today, I think I saw like a video about it, and I was like, yeah, you're right. That was pretty bad clock management because it was first and goal.
As a fan, and I've seen this
At the
before
one.
with the Cowboys, I was really hoping that when they reviewed that Jackson Dart rushing touchdown at the end, I really wish he was short. But, I mean, it just didn't go our way.
Should we talk about this coming week?
Yeah.
we can.
I mean, what do you guys think? Do you guys see the Giants beating the Eagles again, or do you think an Eagles team that has settled in a little bit more last week is going to actually beat the Giants this time?
I can start as the Eagles fan in the room. I'll go quick because I know you guys feel way passionately about this, I assume. I just simply don't foresee the Eagles losing at home. Spread has them at 6.5. I think that's good money if you're looking at the Giants. I do think it's going to be a close game. A little bit of worry for the Eagles. A.J. Brown didn't practice today. But at the same time, midweek missing a practice is not the most uncommon thing at all.
He's going to be playing.
He'll be in the game in some degree. You got an Eagles team that last week put up a good performance. They figured out their passing game a little bit. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown had 3 touchdowns between them, nearly 300 yards. The Eagles at home historically, especially against the Giants, have been dominant. And they've had the scouting report. They know what they did wrong last time. Granted, the Giants put in a great performance, but there's reasons behind that. Eagles coaching staff, I definitely think, can make those corrections. I don't foresee a loss.
So I think with the Eagles, I agree with you. I think they did figure something out last week. They looked much like
You
Eagles.
look like what you need them to do with the roster you have. That's what you need to kind of put in.
Yeah, they
did.
looked more like how we all thought they would look to start the season. But also, I think with the Giants, one thing I'm still concerned about, and one thing also kind of talking in relation to the Broncos game, was I feel like this defense played way too much, especially in the fourth quarter, which concerns me for this week. They played way too trying not to lose the game instead of playing to win. And they played in a prevent defense the whole time. And that seems to be Shane Bowen, the DC's MO. I personally, as a Giants fan, I want him fired. I think he's awful. I'm not a fan of him at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because the first 3 quarters, you play so well. That's why I don't really understand the
pass
fire.
rush is part of that.
I completely agree. I think that's why are we sending, Brian Burns said it when he was going to the locker room after the game. It was why are we sending 3 and dropping back 8 in coverage? I think Dexter Lawrence had some words about it. He said, that's not my decision. It's the coach's decision. I think how do they complete a 25-yard pass when we drop 8 in coverage?
I
It
saw
just doesn't make sense.
that the Giants ran 1 blitz play against the Broncos. Are you kidding?
This loss tells
That's
every team
absurd.
in the NFL that they're not going to hold a lead. I mean, that's the simple fact of it. You can look at the metrics and say, oh, this is a young team.
That's what concerns me
You can
about
say
this
this is a young
week.
team that doesn't know how to win, but, if Giants go up a
They're still
score or
learning
more
to win.
going into the fourth quarter, I'm not worried still.
Yeah, I think the Eagles win this week. I think the Giants, with the inability to finish games, with the fact that the Giants really as a team, they have no momentum right now. They did after the win against the Eagles, but I feel like that loss was so deflating, and the Eagles are on a high right now because they kind of figured things out last week. Things are going pretty well for them. And I think Jalen Hurts now knows that he can trust those other guys as they're starting to come back into form. And a lot of those issues that we saw from the locker room that were posted online, they're starting to resolve themselves as guys are performing better.
Yep.
One thing, too, is that I feel like I think it's all going to kind of come down to, I mean, you guys kind of just like inferred it a little bit. I think it's all going to come down to how that game starts. Because if the Eagles, let's say Eagles get the ball first, go right down and score a touchdown, and then it looks like, oh, like now they're going to start rolling, then I think the Eagles are going to win. But if the Giants, because that was the key to the Giants beating them 2 weeks ago, was the Giants got off to a good start. Jackson Dart played well. He made good decisions early on in the game and got them a lead. So I think it's all going to just come down to who can get off to the better start, and then that can go a long way into seeing who wins this game.
At the same time, though, the Eagles have been starting slow this season. I watch a decent amount of the games. I'm not a huge football guy, but, follow the team and I watch the games. So the first quarter, they've typically been slow, which kind of, again, I do think plays into this game a little bit more of the Giants starting quick and maybe cooling off in the second half. If there was no halftime, I think the Giants could maybe be the best team the NFL has ever seen.
Well, one other thing is that I do want to bring up here, which also one other concern for this week is what are the Giants going to do at kicker? Because
Graham Gano is coming back.
Oh, he is.
He is.
Coming
There was a report that came out that Graham Gano is coming back.
I believe he's questionable.
Yeah.
As of right now.
He's been questionable every week.
Yeah. But they said that he was coming back, and they actually released their kicker from last week. Yeah.
So, is
so
Young
they
Ku
cut
now
him already?
in, or is it what?
It's
Probably
if
Gano.
Gano's back,
If-
it's going to be Gano.
Yes.
But
If
if
he's
he's
not
not
healthy,
ready,
it's Ku.
it's Ku.
Yeah.
I have a hypothetical to pose for you Giants fans right here. So you obviously this week you're coming in, you're looking at it right now. They're 2-5, 0-4 on the road. A deflating fourth quarter there, a bad loss. If the Giants go up, say 13-10 at halftime, they put in a good offensive performance, but they're giving up some points, and then you still kind of blow a lead in a bad defensive performance late, but you were in it the whole game. You didn't blow this big 19-point, 20-point lead like that. Are you going into this week optimistic? Are you saying, yeah, we can beat the Eagles. We beat them 2 weeks ago, and now we almost just beat the Broncos? Or is it the same old story of, I guess?
You can go first.
I don't even know. It's really hard to beat a team twice in a year, especially if you are. I think they're 6.5-point favorites this week. They were 7-point favorite. Like they obviously don't have the better team. So I mean, it's tough to say. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It's a new era.
It is a new era. I also
I'm not
what were you gonna say?
I'm not a Giants fan, but realistically, I think this will be a close game, but the Giants don't have a chance at winning. I think what's going to happen is the Giants are going to have their classic, as you brought up earlier, good start to the game, and then they're going to tail off a little bit, and the Eagles are going to come back and be the Super Bowl champs that they are.
Yeah.
Next year it's a two-horse race, and I'm a little more scared for it. This Giants team, I do think they probably could use with a new defensive coordinator. Can't go over 33 points in a quarter in that way. Can't change the plan like that. But they've got good pieces on defense for sure. I think we've talked about the secondary needing some improvement.
Yeah, I mean, I think the secondary, specifically also some of the, Deontay Banks, the second he came in for Paulson and Debo when he got injured, looked terrible. He was getting beat every play. It was not fun to watch as a fan.
Tough. I mean, two DBs go down. We give up 33 points in the fourth. It's just I don't know.
But
it's just tough.
New York sports.
Yeah, no, it just, and also to your point, I think it makes it so much worse that they lost like that, because I think it just showed the issues on the back end, and it really just showed how the pass rush was really carrying this defense. And then the second they don't get home, you're seeing these corners can't hold up for more than 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens any given Sunday. Giants, Eagles, we'll see what happens. This has been the Football Fanatics, and have a good one.